The cosmos, ever vast and boundless, remains perpetually deep, mysterious, and immeasurable. Over billions of years, an incalculable sea of stars has given birth to numerous civilizations of radiant splendor. Countless intelligent races have taken their turns on the cosmic stage, each playing their part in the grand, vibrant epics woven through the fabric of time. In the Milky Way, within the arm of Orion, lies an ancient black void, now filled with boundless green light clouds that dance, twist, and spread like living entities, rapidly filling nearly every inch of space within the star system with a heart-pounding velocity. These eerie and formidable light clouds are composed of countless deep green colossal warships, each over 100 kilometers in length, forming a tight and orderly formation. Under the command of a powerful and mysterious will, they advance methodically toward the center of the star system. Through thick, pale green energy shields, the solid, heavy bodies of the ships are engraved with huge dark green crescent symbols, surrounded by intricate and detailed patterns, and some mysterious pale gold symbols, all exuding a style distinctly different from human civilization. In this majestic and vast ocean of warships, moon-sized green superfortresses dot the space like stars in the sky, renowned war behemoths of the Voltacar civilization, the seats of the great caliphs. They are the sacred weapons of war, feared by billions of intelligent races throughout the cosmos. Yet, the most terrifying presence lies at the heart of this unprecedentedly large armada. 16 Jupiter-sized towers, wrapped in golden rainbows, are the ultimate spiritual icons for billions of Voltacar adherents, representing the supreme destructive power of this super-civilization. These colossal towers, arranged in a semicircular formation, each have a blazing emerald star suspended at their peaks, emitting billions of luminescent beams. The unimaginable oppressive force is almost suffocating. Surrounded by the fleet, the towers move slowly and irresistibly, crushing any force daring to obstruct their path without hesitation. Across from this green tide of destruction is a dense silver fleet, interspersed with numerous gigantic iron-gray celestial bodies. Green and silver tides collide incessantly, each confrontation sparking spectacular bursts of destructive light that illuminate the cold, desolate dark space for a long time. As time slowly passes, the green celestial bodies command their vast fleets to steadily advance, step by step, compressing the maneuvering space of the silver tide, relentlessly pushing towards the deep blue planet at the heart of the star system. This blue planet, the cradle of human civilization, is regarded as the ultimate sacred ground by trillions across the cosmos. The conquest of this planet would signify the true end to a war that has spanned thousands of years. In the void, there is no sound. Everything unfolds as if in a silent film, yet this does nothing to mitigate the ferocity of the clash between the two factions. Waves of green and silver collide incessantly, grinding against each other, annihilating without respite. Every moment sees countless warships destroyed, with unimaginable numbers of lives extinguished in an instant. Deep within the silver tide, a majestic and formidable golden orb rises, radiating an endless aura of battle intent. It appears within the depths of the green light clouds in mere flashes, leaving a long vacuum trail behind. Anything within 10,000 meters of its vicinity is reduced to dust by the terrifying aftershocks of its energy. The opposition reacts immediately. 3 green celestial bodies converge from different directions, closing in on the golden orb. A second later, as the confrontation ensues, the 3 celestial bodies inevitably disintegrate in a colossal explosion. Their once luminous forms flicker and vanish, leaving the golden orb only slightly dimmed as it continues its relentless charge toward the heart of the green tide. Golden orbs continue to emerge one after another, their passage nearly unimpeded by any force, each bearing a name that resonates like thunder: Blazing Phoenix, Guardian Moon, Dark Celestial Song, Nether Chant, Void Prohibition. Each name represents a legendary tale, a brilliant history widely known among billions of intelligent races across the cosmos. Their target is the central 16 majestic towers. Feeling the fierce battle intent of the opposition, a green star atop one of the towers quivers momentarily. A hair-thin beam shoots out, targeting a golden orb. The beam strikes the golden orb without fail, causing it to dim instantly, revealing the fierce and formidable mecha within. The sleek exterior of the mecha has been melted by the terrifying heat, and a faint, persistent green flame clings to it, burning fiercely. Seconds later, the mecha core explodes into a brilliant, dazzling firework, signifying the fall of yet another unparalleled hero of the human empire. With the battle initiated, except for the core 6 towers, the remaining green stars engage without mercy, ruthlessly eliminating significant opposition targets. Numerous golden orbs vanish sequentially. The war has progressed to a point where the situation is clear for all to see. The Stellar Abyss Alliance is on its last legs, with defeat imminent and only a matter of time. Near the blue planet in synchronous orbit, in the grand space city within the heavily guarded command center, a haggard marshal looks to the elderly man with white hair beside him and asks hoarsely, "Is there truly no hope left?" The elder shook his head gently and said, "Your Excellency, we have exerted our utmost efforts. Had the Alliance possessed about half a year more, perhaps the overall situation might have been salvageable. But now, with Project 1 only 87.3% complete, even if we were to launch it prematurely, its effectiveness in combat would likely be insufficient to pose a significant threat to the Golden Caliphs. As for the other projects, their completion is even more distant and uncertain. So thus, the fate of the Alliance is sealed," the elder stated with an almost cold rationality. "We have done all that we could. If it weren't for those damnable scoundrels, the Alliance would never have fallen into such a dire strait." Now, discussing it further holds no meaning. The marshal's complexion grew even paler, his gaze inadvertently shifting to a corner of the command hall where a towering dark golden Mika stood silently, its chest emblazoned with a striking multicolored nebula emblem. This was one of the Stellar Abyss Alliance's ultimate weapons of war, tragically never to see combat. The elder sighed softly and continued, "Though the Alliance's fate is irreversible, humanity will not become a relic of history. Across the vast cosmos, the seeds of human civilization have already spread through the starry sea, establishing numerous powerful nations. Even the formidable strength of the Voltacar civilization cannot eradicate all our kind." The marshal's expression lightened slightly as he replied, "You are right. However, without the Grand Alliance, the standing of our people among the cosmic races, I fear it is not optimistic." "It is an unavoidable circumstance," the elder replied coolly. "All we can do now is fight for the Alliance to our last breath. Of course, I will also preserve the legacy of the Alliance, ensuring it never falls into the hands of those damnable charlatans." A swirl of multicolored halo flickered in his hand, and the space momentarily distorted, causing the mecha to vanish into a streak of light. 11 hours later, the green cloud of countless warships, having paid a significant toll, finally spread to every corner of this small star system. In the year 1081 of the interstellar calendar, on the planet Dylan, the bright golden sun hung low in the sky, mercilessly pouring its scorching, noxious light down, the dark brown rocks sizzling hot to the touch, with a faint scent of sulfur permeating the air. Located on the fringe of the Yan-Yun Federation, the planet had a harsh natural environment. Despite recent technological enhancements, its development remained lackluster. Fortunately, several rare mineral resources discovered on the planet had steadily increased its popularity. 30 years ago, the military recognized the potential of this location and allocated substantial resources to establish an advanced military academy here, gathering recruits from major immigrant cities across the planet for rigorous training. In a wilderness area over 10 kilometers from the base, large groups of fully armed recruits were undergoing cross-country training exercises. As the evaluation neared its end, most recruits were nearly exhausted, their faces pale and breaths labored, youthful visages etched with deep fatigue. Yet, no one dared relax. The military academy's regulations were extremely strict, and any detected attempt at deceit or laziness would incur severe punishment from the instructors, a torment that could haunt one for a month. Qin Huang tightened his intelligent combat belt around his waist, struggled to lift his head to gaze at the sun, and took a few labored breaths. The searing air rushed into his throat, painfully burning as if to ignite his lungs, an indescribably unbearable sensation. Sweat streamed down his forehead nonstop, blurring his vision, as the figures of his classmates gradually moved ahead, leaving him struggling in the rear. The weight of his marching gear grew increasingly heavy, almost like a mountain pressing down, threatening to suffocate him at any moment. "Looks like I'll fail the task again," he thought resignedly, his legs mechanically moving as he pushed toward the distant horizon where they were to assemble. Undoubtedly, he was again the last one. As per usual, failing to arrive on time meant facing the harsh punishment of whipping. Regardless of one's background, there was no leniency in this respect from the instructors. "Come on, Chief! Just under a kilometer left!" A burly classmate suddenly turned back and shouted, reaching out to take his backpack. Qin Huang shook his head, exerting effort to say, "Don't do that, it's against the rules, and the instructor will punish you too." "It's okay, I can handle a few lashes. I'm in good shape, the burly fellow said nonchalantly, taking over the ion gun, high-frequency vibration knife, multifunctional tactical helmet, composite armor vest, proton high explosive grenade, and condensed energy battery from him. Unable to dissuade him, Qin Huang no longer resisted. Relieved of the burden, their speed increased significantly, yet they were still the last to arrive. The other students were already resting in formation. The stern instructor, Luo Tianxiong, with a visage grim and hands clasped behind his back, stood atop a vast granite platform. His countenance was somber, clad in deep black alloy power armor, untouched by a speck of dust. The venomous sunlight cascaded upon it, swiftly absorbed into its depths without a sound. His sharp gaze, cold as lightning, carried a chilling aura of menace. Under the sweeping glare of those eyes, no one remained untouched by a shiver. Even the most unruly of students, subdued and meek, dared not display a hint of disrespect. Countless gruesome examples from the past had long proven the folly of challenging the instructor's authority. Observing the final two students supporting each other back to the ranks, Luo Tianxiong raised his scarred, muscular wrist to eye level, glancing at the miniature neural processor embedded within. Expressionless, he uttered. You two, tardy by a full minute and 51 seconds. As for the consequences, you are both well aware. There's no need for me to reiterate, is there? Qin Huang pressed his chapped lips together, saying nothing more. In the presence of this ruthless instructor, pleading held no meaning. Silently, he removed his military jacket and walked over, stooping low. Luo Tianxiong withdrew his other hand from behind, revealing a thick, jet gold whip. Its supple alloy steel strands mingled with the tendons of black rock hoof beasts, twisted together with coarse expertise, adorned with numerous sharp barbs, faintly revealing dried patches of blood. This formidable weapon, wielded by an equally formidable instructor, had become a feared presence among countless students and indigenous beasts alike. The flexible whip arced high, creating a hair-raising whistling through the air, leaving behind ghostly traces. It descended heavily upon Qin Huang's back, leaving a strikingly deep purple lash mark, swelling visibly at an alarming rate. The immense agony nearly caused the young man to faint, but reason reminded him that collapsing would only worsen his fate. Gritting his teeth, a syllable escaped from between them. One Luo Tianxiong's expression remained unchanged as he swung his arm, the second lash falling without hesitation, followed by the third, the fourth. The harrowing sound of the whip echoed through the air. Qin Huang's back now covered in horrifying, dark purple welts, blood seeping. Even the onlooking students turned pale at the sight. 24-25. With the final lash, the instructor finally ceased. At this moment, the youth on the ground teetered on the brink of mental and physical collapse. Struggling to maintain his composure, his voice hoarse, he uttered, "Honorable Instructor, number 19, Qin Huang, gratefully acknowledges receiving 25 lashes." This was the protocol of the school. When a student erred and faced whipping, they must count the lashes themselves. Should they faint, they would endure the punishment anew, and after enduring, they must report in this manner to demonstrate their lack of resentment. Luo Tianxiong's countenance cleared slightly as he uttered coldly. This marks the third instance this semester where you have faced punishment for failing to meet training standards. With the end of term examination looming just 2 months away, should you persist in this manner, not only will you face harsher penalties, but expulsion will also be a looming possibility. I trust you comprehend the gravity of the situation. Yes, I understand, Qin Huang replied softly. Then, Luo Tianxiong's gaze shifted to the stout figure beside him, speaking with faint disdain. Wu Dai, while I commend your brotherly loyalty, such camaraderie may be esteemed on the battlefield, yet your actions contradict the school's training regulations. Hence Wu Dai resigned, sighed deeply, refraining from arguing, obediently lowering himself to the ground. Once again, the lashes rained down, the sound of the whip cracking against flesh, mingling with the pig like squeals echoing through the air. Never forget your identities, nor your missions. With the punishment concluded, Luo Tianxiong stowed away the whip, his sharp gaze sweeping across the assembly, his voice heavy with gravity. You are the elite seed selected from the major immigrant cities of this planet, the foundation of the Federation, and the hope of humanity's future civilization. Thus, such rigorous training regimes will only increase in the future. If anyone finds themselves unable to endure, admitting themselves as weaklings, then they'd best return home early. We have no need for wastrels here. Yes, instructor, echoed the response from hundreds of students on the scene. Very well, today's training concludes here. Disperse. With that, Luo Tianxiong turned and walked towards the nearby sleek black military hovercraft, pulling open the door and taking his seat. In an instant, the craft gracefully lifted off, swiftly disappearing into the distance. This was the privilege of being an instructor, while the students were left to rely on their own two legs to return to the school. "Boss, are you all right?" approached a slender, deep-eyed student, cautiously helping Qin Huang up, speaking softly. He was Wu Day's twin brother, Wu Neng, though aside from their stature, there were few similarities between them. "Don't worry, I'm not dead yet," Qin Huang replied through gritted teeth. Wu Day grumbled indistinctly, saying nothing more. Though still prone on the ground, his eyes wandered lasciviously over some of the more attractive female students nearby. Whispers among the nearby students drifted. "This fellow truly seems to have fallen on hard times, enduring the most lashings this semester. He wasn't like this before. I wonder what's happened. His physical condition has deteriorated significantly. What other reason could there be? Surely it's the excessive overload training, coupled with inadequate resources, exhausting his bodily potential. Indeed, at this rate, he's likely to collapse. His future prospects, isn't it obvious? With his foundation, without sufficient high-level resources to support him, no amount of effort will avail him," remarked a well-built, handsome student, exuding an air of arrogance. His influence was evidently considerable, eliciting a chorus of agreement and flattery. Disdainful, pitying, or mocking gazes were cast their way, but Qin Huang remained oblivious, leaning on Wu Dai for support as they laboriously made their way toward the school. Given their condition, their pace naturally couldn't be too brisk, and soon they found themselves trailing behind. It was likely to be dark by the time they reached the school. This planet was still in its developmental stage. The dangers of the nocturnal wilderness were self-evident. Not only would temperatures plummet below freezing, but various terrifying indigenous beasts would also begin to emerge. Survival in such an environment was only assured for those with sufficient strength. Halfway there, a hovercraft descended gracefully, and the towering figure stepped out. "Instructor, greetings!" The three quickly saluted. Luo Tianxiong frowned as he scrutinized Qin Huang, remarking, "I fail to understand what's become of you lately. Previously, you were the youngest student in the school, yet also the most diligent. While your talent may not have been outstanding, your test results consistently ranked at the top tier. But now," he shook his head, tossing a delicately sealed metal vial over, saying casually, "Regardless, I hope you'll return to your former state by the next assessment. Otherwise, you're well aware of the consequences." The hovercraft sped away. Wu Neng picked up the swift-acting organic healing spray, carefully applying it to the wounds on Qin Huang's back. The spray's effects were indeed remarkable, the wounds visibly healing at an accelerated rate. He tended to Qin Huang's injuries first before assisting his own brother. "I'm fine. Give the boss more," Wu De grumbled. "I can handle this little injury." His physique was more robust than three ordinary students combined, standing there like a veritable bear of a man, his defensive capabilities truly not to be underestimated. Freed from the burden of injuries, the trio's pace quickened considerably. As the last glimmer of the setting sun faded, the faint blue energy shield dome of the immigrant city and the towering metal walls finally loomed in the distance. Meanwhile, from far behind, faint roars of some predatory beasts could already be heard. Upon returning to the apartment dormitory, Qin Huang took a shower and changed into fresh attire. Upon emerging, he found his two closest companions had also returned, and a sumptuous meal had been laid out in the dining room. The stout one was named Wu Dai, easygoing in nature, while his brother Wu Neng was usually taciturn, with a keen intellect. He excelled in hacking skills and harbored a strong interest in culinary arts. "Boss, I remember you weren't like this before. How is it that your physical condition has deteriorated so severely lately? Unable to even complete training tasks of relatively moderate difficulty. What exactly is the problem?" Wu Dai, while busily attending to the dishes before him, asked incoherently, "Could it truly be excessive training? Pushing beyond the body's limits? But boss, you're not one to act recklessly, and such a situation can surely be addressed. Simply lower the intensity of training and take a proper rest to readjust. Must there not be other reasons? Instructor Mulia is quite concerned about your situation. If things remain the same in the next assessment, she may find herself in quite a predicament. You understand?" he added. In response to his friend's inquiries, Qin Huang offered a smile, saying, "There are indeed reasons, but it's not something you would understand at present. I'll explain when the time is right in the future." Wu Neng furrowed his brow, saying, "If it's inconvenient for you to reveal, we won't press you further. But what about the end-of-term assessment in 2 months? You wouldn't want to end up last again, would you?" Enduring lashings is one thing, but expulsion would be troublesome. The entry requirements for the Dinar Military Academy were exceptionally high. Students admitted through its gates were considered elites on this planet. Whether they directly joined the military upon graduation or entered higher-level military academies, their futures were bright, far beyond the reach of common civilians and ordinary soldiers. Of course, for the unfortunate few expelled for failing to meet the school's standards, their prospects would be far from optimistic. Without a privileged background or special connections, they would likely spend their lives at the bottom rungs of society with little hope for advancement. Wu Dai pondered for a moment before suggesting, "How about this? If you're not confident enough, boss, you could apply to repeat the year, avoiding this assessment, and try again next year. After all, you're still young. Waiting another year won't hurt much." Qin Huang, 3 years younger than the two brothers, was originally not old enough to enroll. However, due to his personal efforts and outstanding achievements, he was admitted through special recruitment by the school. Because of his exceptional diligence, he had been commended by the school authorities on multiple occasions and even regarded as a key talent to be nurtured by the school's senior management. However, 6 months ago, this top student's condition began to deteriorate. His physical fitness notably declined, and despite awakening abilities and having a source energy index close to 11, he had regressed all the way to around 5, becoming what was colloquially referred to as a trash with only a combat power of 5, repeatedly failing exams. The esteemed instructors Mulia and Luo Tianxiong had placed great importance on him, hence their profound disappointment. If this situation failed to change promptly, he might be entirely forsaken by the school authorities. At that point, not only would further academic pursuits be out of reach, but even the hope of obtaining a graduation certificate would likely vanish. Qin Huang pondered silently, his chopsticks gently toying with the grains of rice in his bowl, before softly remarking, "Thank you, I am aware of this matter. You needn't worry. I will find a solution when the time comes." The brothers Wu Dai exchanged a glance, shaking their heads without further ado. Though this youth, with his fair countenance and usually introverted demeanor, was a few years younger than them, his remarkably mature intellect made him a figure of admiration. His decisiveness in daily affairs and interactions often surpassed theirs. Otherwise, why would they willingly defer to him? After dinner, the three chatted for a while before retiring to their respective rooms. Qin Huang locked the door and disabled the smart monitoring cerebrum in the room. He drew the double-layered metal-coated curtains shut and activated several homemade pocket-sized anti-surveillance devices one by one. After meticulously inspecting every corner to ensure there were no anomalies, he calmly lay down on the bed, his fair and delicate palm extended before his eyes. After a moment, a faint, ethereal halo of iridescent colors gradually emerged, emanating a subtle and mysterious aura. At the center of the halo floated a crystalline shadow resembling obsidian, about the size of a pigeon egg, exuding an ineffable sense of majesty. This object had been found several months ago during an outdoor training exercise on the outskirts of Dinar. Lost and wandering, Qin Huang had chanced upon it inside a severely damaged spacecraft. It would be more accurate to say that the object had chosen him. The spacecraft's design was markedly different from the craftsmanship of this era, likely originating from a long-lost and grand empire, the zenith of human civilization. However, due to its extreme age and extensive damage, no valuable items could be found aboard, except for this sudden emergence. With the appearance of the crystal, the vitality within him surged uncontrollably towards it, accompanied by waves of weakness that took a while to dissipate. At some unknown moment, the figure of the youth had vanished, leaving only a slowly rotating halo of iridescent colors hovering above the bed. When the youth regained consciousness, he found himself in a wondrous space. As far as the eye could see, the entire expanse was filled with twinkling, multicolored crystals, resembling stars embellishing a vast dome. Beautiful streams of starlight cascaded down from above. The ground beneath his feet seemed to have no discernible material, offering a slightly yielding sensation when stepped upon. Faint, unidentified warmth flowed into his body, enveloping him in a comforting warmth. Almost tangible streams of iridescent light flowed out from the crystal, surging into his body and spreading through every tissue and organ. Meanwhile, his mind began to receive mysterious information. Due to the rapid pace and substantial volume of information, it induced a slight dizziness. After an indeterminate period, a stream of information flooded into his mind. The majority of deep genetic components are in a state of dormancy, with the body's reserves of life energy severely depleted. The integration remains incomplete, with optimization progress at a mere 1.7%. it is recommended to immediately replenish with a large amount of high-energy organic food to avoid disrupting the normal functioning of the body. Not far from Qin Huang, there stood a 2-meter-high white jade pedestal, upon which perched an unknown creature, or perhaps some artifact of a certain civilization, presenting itself as a faint blue hemisphere. Beneath its smooth and gleaming surface, a subtle golden light emanated, exuding an aura of solemnity and profundity. Qin Huang already understood its origins. The strategic biochemical cerebral core of the Starry Union's Military Scientific Academy, which ranked among the top 3 among the stellar powers of that era. A millennium ago, the long war between the Starry Union and the alien civilization, the Verodical Empire, finally reached its conclusion. Due to reasons unsuitable for public disclosure, human civilization suffered an unfortunate defeat, leading to the collapse of the Union government. All territories, including the Milky Way and numerous star systems, along with billions upon billions of human subjects, fell under the dominion and slavery of this alien empire. Only a handful of human elites managed to escape, establishing refugee settlements in certain remote star systems across the cosmos. After nearly 1,000 years of development, and with the assistance of certain friendly intelligent races in the cosmos, human civilization had finally regained some vitality. Though far from its peak, there was no longer a fear of extinction. At the end of the Great War, Earth, the human homeworld, was captured by the golden-haired Harevi of the Verodical Empire. The strategic core of the cerebral brain was nowhere to be found, yet it unexpectedly appeared on this remote planet, eventually falling into the possession of Qin Huang through a fortuitous twist of fate. Regrettably, the primary consciousness of the cerebral core had already perished by the time Qin Huang encountered it, leaving behind only the most basic functions of information retrieval and storage, as well as the repair and optimization of his body, which depleted the last remnants of its reserves. Currently, it was no different from an ordinary cerebral brain in essence, albeit with an extensive collection of stored data. The comprehensive optimization and transformation of the body require a vast amount of high-level resources, which, unfortunately, I do not currently possess the conditions to acquire. Therefore, it is not feasible to consider at the moment. However, I can commence practicing some essential abilities to lay the groundwork for rapid growth in the future, Qin Huang pondered. The intelligent core possessed a vast array of cultivation techniques, all of which were treasures from the heyday of the Starry Union, allowing him to freely select among them. After a brief moment, Qin Huang had made his decision. A slight tingling sensation permeated his mind as a large segment of information flooded in. Qin Huang calmly began to contemplate and read the transmitted data with a serene mind. An hour later, the spiritual cultivation technique known as the Alaya Vijnana mind method had been firmly etched into his memory, fully comprehended. Alaya Vijnana, also known as Alaya Vijnana, or Araya Vijnana, can also be called the eighth consciousness, true consciousness, or storehouse consciousness. It is the eighth consciousness referred to in the King of Consciousness in the Buddhist philosophy of Yogacara. It is the amalgamation of fundamental nature and elusive mind, the repository of all seeds of good and evil. In Buddhist philosophy, this consciousness is the foundation of all phenomena in the universe, containing and preserving everything without loss. Thus, it is called the storehouse consciousness. Also, because it can contain and nurture seeds of all phenomena, it is also known as the seed consciousness. The Great Vehicle mantra states, all sentient beings possess the Alaya consciousness. It is inherently perfect and pure, transcending worldly concerns akin to nirvana. Like the radiant moon illuminating myriad lands, worldly observers perceive phases of diminution and waxing, yet the moon's essence remains unchanged. So it is with the Alaya consciousness. It universally manifests within all sentient realms, perpetually pristine without augmentation or diminishment. The treatise on the awakening of faith in the Mahayana further elucidates, the arising and ceasing of mind depend on the Tathagata's storehouse. Hence, the arising and ceasing minds exist. What is termed neither arising nor ceasing, the convergence of arising and ceasing, neither one nor different, is known as the Alaya consciousness. This consciousness holds two meanings, encompassing all dharmas and generating all dharmas. Of course, the cultivation method Qin Huang currently possesses does not solely derive from ancient Buddhist scriptures. Instead, it stems from the collaboration between the former Union Science Academy and the military, requiring unimaginable human and material resources. Over hundreds of years of research, analysis, and continuous refinement, it has become a treasure capable of fundamentally unlocking human genetic potential, enhancing the essence of life, thereby catalyzing an evolution akin to rebirth. Furthermore, another manuscript, the Warlord's Decree of Star Slaying, is equally esteemed as the Alayavinana mine method. Both are exclusive cultivation methods reserved for top-tier practitioners, only accessible to elite warriors. While the latter focuses on strengthening the practitioner and enhancing life essence, the former is dedicated to battlefield combat and confrontation techniques, boasting unparalleled destructive power, heralded as the foremost within the Union without equal. These two techniques, one focusing inward and the other outward, represent the utmost secrets of that super empire, exclusively belonging to the Union's strategic military force, the pinnacle martial arts of elite mobile warfighters. Even slightly lower-ranked practitioners have no chance of encountering them. Undoubtedly, those who become mobile warfighters are genuine elites. However, those who aspire to reach the pinnacle and ascend to the ranks of high-level mech gods are the rarest of the rare. The resources allocated for their cultivation are naturally beyond comparison with ordinary means. Yet, despite being supreme esoteric methods, achieving mastery requires extensive support from high-level resources. Unfortunately, the data bank of the cerebral brain contains no means for Qin Huang to earn money. As a mere 15-year-old student, lacking any illustrious familial background or outstanding business acumen, how could he possibly amass enough resources for self-improvement in a short span? However, since he has obtained the legacy of the Empire's high-end power, it is incumbent upon him to grow rapidly. Therefore, selectively acquiring essential knowledge becomes imperative. After a short while, a vast amount of information flooded into his brain, with the majority focusing on mecha-related content, leaving Qin Huang's mind almost on the brink of explosion. When he finally awoke, he realized several hours had passed. An indescribable hunger overcame him. Swiftly, Qin Huang rolled out of bed, retrieving 2 bottles of organic nutritional supplements from the bedside drawer and guzzled them down, providing only slight relief. Furrowing his attractive brows slightly, Qin Huang scanned the room with his deep, dark pupils. Apart from the 2 bottles of nutritional supplements in the desk drawer, there seemed to be nothing else edible available. Of course, this problem was not without a solution. He went out for a stroll, returning a few minutes later with a dozen more bottles of organic nutritional supplements, cleaning out the entire inventory of the Wu brothers. Yet, this was still insufficient. After pondering for a moment, Qin Huang activated the cerebral brain on his wrist, placing an order for 4 crates from the school's internal supermarket. Instantly, his account balance plummeted to 0. As for the money given to him by Mulia, he would not use it unless absolutely necessary. Due to the proximity, just over 10 minutes later, the doorbell of the dormitory suite rang, and a remarkably cartoonish robotic porter appeared at the door, carrying 4 pale blue boxes. "Your Excellency, your requested goods have been delivered. Please inspect them," it stated dutifully. Qin Huang opened the boxes, revealing 40 neatly arranged pale blue metal bottles inside, each adorned with crisp and clear brand labels, all containing military-grade high-concentration organic nutritional supplements. After confirming their correctness, he moved several boxes into his room. After finishing off 15 bottles of the supplements, the sensation of hunger in his body finally dissipated temporarily. However, the energy provided by this food was barely enough to scratch the surface of restarting the cerebral brain's optimization program. The next morning, as Wu Neng finished tidying up and walked out of the room, he found Qin Huang sitting on the sofa, eyes closed in meditation, emitting a faintly profound and mysteriously unfathomable aura. "Boss, why are you up so early today?" Wu Neng was somewhat surprised. He knew that Qin Huang had been rising late this semester due to his physical condition. Wu Dai also peeked out from the room, blinking and scrutinizing him for a while before asking in confusion, "Your injuries from yesterday should not have fully healed yet, right? Why not take some more rest? Today's classes aren't very important, and I can go ask the teacher for leave on your behalf." Qin Huang opened his eyes, smiled faintly, and said, "No need. Taking too many leaves will deduct credits. And I'm fine now." He was not intentionally concealing anything. After the optimization and repair of the cerebral brain's core and a night of cultivation, this miraculous technique had already begun to demonstrate astonishing effects. Not only were the numerous minor injuries accumulated from prolonged strenuous training within his body healed, but his entire bodily functions had also been significantly enhanced. His mental state had undergone a noticeable improvement. If he were to undergo tests now, his various life functions data would undoubtedly show a comprehensive improvement compared to the previous day. His energy index had exceeded 8, and if he were to undergo another armed cross-country training today, he would certainly pass with flying colors. As time passed, he was greatly looking forward to how astonishingly the Alaya Vijnana mind method would elevate the essence of life. After confirming that Qin Huang was not deceiving them, the stone in the hearts of the two brothers finally settled. After a simple breakfast, Wu Dai suddenly remembered something, bid them goodbye, and left ahead. Qin Huang and Wu Neng then left the dormitory area together, heading towards the nearby teaching area. Along the way, they encountered sporadic familiar students passing by. The two conversed casually with relaxed expressions. Today's classes were few, and they were only cultural classes, so there was no pressure on them. The serene campus, adorned with lush green vegetation, enveloped towering pale blue circular teaching buildings. Amidst the faint cultural ambience, there lingered a stern military atmosphere. Most of the buildings on the colonized planet adhered to the principle of solidity and durability. Additionally, being a military school, numerous teaching buildings were primarily constructed from large blocks of dark patterned granite. The main structures of the buildings appeared robust and sturdy, capable of serving as military defense fortresses when necessary. Not long after, just as they were entering the third teaching hall, the harsh shouts of reprimand reached their ears. Qin Huang followed the sound and saw Wu Dai engaging in a fierce altercation with a fiercely determined student. Although Wu Dai fought back without showing any weakness, his astonishing physique provided strong defense, giving him a considerable advantage. However, the opponent's strength was indeed formidable, gradually gaining the upper hand. "Cease!" he shouted angrily, stepping forward. The fellow smirked and suddenly turned around, his figure as swift as the wind, rushing towards him with a fierce impact. A fist clad in steel knuckles, accompanied by a roaring wind, rapidly enlarged before his eyes, exhibiting a menacing demeanor, as if determined not to relent until he brought him down. Qin Huang snorted coldly. His steps faltered slightly, and his right arm swung out abruptly, as swift as lightning, drawing a perfect arc in the air. He clenched his fist, intercepting the opponent's ferocious attack with precision. Bang! A dull thud echoed, and Qin Huang's body slightly leaned back, retreating 2 steps before stabilizing himself. The assailant's condition was similar, retreating 3 or 4 steps before regaining his balance. At this moment, he stared at Qin Huang in disbelief for a few seconds, subconsciously inspecting the steel knuckles on his hand, as if he hadn't yet understood what had happened. Isn't Liu Kaihui supposed to be strong? How come he couldn't handle a weakling? A curly-haired, blue-eyed student passing by stopped in surprise. Are you daft? Qin Huang is quite formidable too. Even if Liu Kaihui is stronger, it's not that easy to defeat him, countered a petite and delicate girl beside him. A somewhat mature-looking boy remarked, Qin Huang's strength used to be impressive, but unfortunately, his physical condition has deteriorated significantly this semester. I'm afraid he's no match for Liu Kaihui anymore. What happened just now? It seems Qin Huang didn't fall behind at all, and Liu Kaihui even ambushed him with equipment, while Qin Huang was unarmed. Who knows? Maybe that guy didn't have breakfast today. The surrounding students discussed animatedly, and Liu Kaihui's face, which had been relatively calm, turned slightly purple. He forced a smile and said, Qin Huang, I didn't expect you to recover so quickly after being injured yesterday. I was worried you wouldn't pass the final exam and wanted to give you some guidance. Hehe. Their relationship had always been somewhat strained. His attack just now was meant to embarrass Qin Huang in front of everyone and take the opportunity to ridicule him. Given Qin Huang's physical decline and the fact that his injuries had not healed, he was definitely not a threat. But he hadn't expected Qin Huang to be so vigilant that he couldn't even gain a slight advantage. What exactly did this kid use? How come there's no sign of injury? Could it be that he never massaging his slightly numb right hand? Liu Kaihui muttered to himself. Qin Huang's profound gaze lingered on him for a few seconds, a faint smile appearing on his face as he said, Guidance? Very well. It's natural for classmates to help and learn from each other. How about I give you some guidance as well? Before the fellow could react, Qin Huang's figure had already disappeared from the spot. In the next moment, a dull thud of flesh colliding resounded. Liu Kaihui felt a sudden and powerful impact on his abdomen, causing intense pain to surge. His towering figure uncontrollably staggered back 7 or 8 steps before he managed to stabilize himself, his face already pale. The onlooking students wore expressions of disbelief, seemingly not expecting a universally recognized top student to be bested by Qin Huang. Yu. His face turning livid, Liu Kaihui couldn't find the words to say for a moment. Qin Huang lightly shook his hand, stepped forward to help up Wu Dai, and smiled nonchalantly. Sorry for the inconvenience. Let's have a proper exchange next time. Of course, it's only proper to have a proper exchange, came a calm voice from outside. A gaze, cold and commanding, was directed toward them as a tall and handsome young man appeared. He steadied Liu Kaihui and subtly scrutinized Qin Huang. Wu Neng's expression shifted slightly, stepping forward to stand in front of Qin Huang and said, Xiaoping Wei, do you also intend to meddle in this matter? This newly arrived young man was no ordinary person. He was one of the most elite students in the entire school, with an extraordinary family background. Hence, he had access to superior resources for cultivation. It was rumored that he already possessed the strength of a novice mobile warrior with a source energy index of 12 and had passed the official qualification assessment for mobile warriors. By Wu Neng's estimation, even he and his brother, along with Qin Huang in his prime, might not necessarily be this guy's match. Xiao Pingwei's eyes flickered as he spoke. Liu Kaihui's skills are lacking, and his defeat is his own fault. But Qin Huang, I see that your recovery is quite remarkable. I have recently acquired a new cultivation technique with considerable power. Let's have a proper exchange someday. Qin Huang nonchalantly agreed. You are most welcome. Xiao Pingyue nodded, gave him a deep look, and then left with Liu Kaihui. As the class time approached, students gradually assembled in the classroom. The topic of this lecture was not overly complex. It was about the development history of human civilization's mecha troops. The lecturer, Zhao Zirong, opened the four-dimensional holographic projection and began a detailed explanation. Ever since mechas, these combat weapons emerged, they have had a profound impact on the development of human military forces, especially during the early stages of interstellar exploration. At that time, individual human strength was generally weak. Thus, there was a high dependence on mechas for survival, exploration, resource extraction, hunting various beasts on alien planets, and even combat with extraterrestrial intelligent races. With the rapid advancement of technology, various powerful mechas emerged successively, and mecha legions became one of the most important branches of military forces worldwide. They played increasingly vital roles in wars of all sizes, sometimes even becoming the decisive force in determining the outcome of battles. As human civilization expanded, with a significant increase in economic and technological strength, coupled with the maturation of genetic technology, the individual quality of personnel improved. The first custom-made mecha specifically for use by psychics was finally born. Subsequently, after hundreds of years of development, numerous high-level mechas evolved into a vast disciplinary system. There were thousands of different types of mechas for various purposes, with increasingly sophisticated designs, finer classifications, and more perfect functions, playing increasingly significant roles on the battlefield. In the dazzling four-dimensional images, various specifications and different purpose mechas kept flashing, accompanied by brief introductions such as the era of their appearance, the names of their designers, and their general functions. Some more classic models even had key explanations. Due to technological limitations, early mecha designs were primitive and had single functions, mostly controlled by joysticks and keyboards. The speed of hand movements became an important criterion for measuring the strength of mobile warriors. Later, control shifted to touch screens and neural pulse control systems, evolving generation by generation, until the widespread adoption of source energy-driven control systems, resulting in continuously improving control efficiency and combat effectiveness. In addition to the mass-produced standard mechas in the military, advanced psychic mechas were classified from low to high as bronze, silver, gold, and other levels. Each level was further subdivided into different star grades, corresponding to mobile warriors of different levels. These high-level mechas were difficult to mass-produce industrially and could only be tailored by master creators based on the specific circumstances of the users. They were characterized by their scarcity, but their power was correspondingly astonishing. Formed into a high-level mecha squad, they often became the decisive force in determining the outcome of battles. Before entering this military school, you were all excellent talents sent from various major immigrant cities. However, whether you can truly succeed depends on your performance in various aspects during your time at school, calmly stated instructor Zhao Zirong. Allow me to reveal a little secret to you all. Although the majority of the tens of thousands of graduates each year can enter the military, only 1/3 of them are eligible to become true mobile warriors, and they are mostly junior mobile warriors. The reason for this is that combat mechas demand extremely rigorous physical and mental qualities from their operators, and due to the limited resources of the school, it's impossible to provide equal training to every student. Therefore, among you, there are only 300 spots available to become official mobile warriors, and among them, there are only 15 spots reserved for those who are highly valued by the school, have the qualifications to advance further, and enjoy the benefits of premium training. The mentor's words immediately sparked a considerable reaction among the students. In this era, as long as a student enters the military academy, there is no one who does not aspire to become a mobile warrior, commanding their own mecha to roam the vast and magnificent expanse of the stellar sea, making contributions to the expansion of human civilization, competing for living space. And the ability to pilot high-level mechas is the dream of countless passionate youths. A soldier who does not aspire to be a marshal is not a good soldier. Given the chance, every mentally sound student hopes to be selected by the school, thus gaining the opportunity to join the ranks of the strong. Although the students in the classroom tried to maintain a calm demeanor, the fervent determination in their eyes was impossible to conceal. Qin Huang silently assessed the situation. The 300 spots for official mobile warriors and the even more challenging 15 spots reserved for elite seed candidates were almost like finding a needle in a haystack among the current students. As for advancing further and becoming one of the 15 elite seed players in the military academy, one basically needed to possess a considerable source energy level. In other words, without a gene talent rating of B or higher and a source energy index exceeding 20, it was simply unrealistic. Of course, once one became a member of this elite group, not only would they receive various growth resources far beyond those of other students, but they could also continue their education in higher-level institutions after graduation. As long as they didn't die prematurely, they would definitely become elite figures in the human world, naturally ascending to the upper echelons of society. Leader, do you have confidence? Wu Dai whispered beside him. He knew that Qin Huang's genetic talent was only B+, which wasn't too exceptional, but it provided a foundation for cultivating source energy. Moreover, this was just the test data from 6 months ago, which might not be accurate now. However, his friend's unusual performance in recent months had made him somewhat worried. Qin Huang smiled. I believe I have some confidence. And of course, you're not lacking either. With effort, we can strive for it. Wu Neng shook his head. You know the results of our last test. We're both only rated as C+, with a source energy index of less than 9. It's impossible for us to be selected. If we could earn a regular mobile warrior spot in the future, we'd be very satisfied. The classification criteria for genetic talent are A, B, C, D, E, F, G, corresponding to various important life function indicators of the human body. The F and G levels belong to the civilian level, D and E levels are mostly ordinary soldiers, and the C level belongs to the level of junior mobile warriors and elite soldiers. Only B level and above can be considered to have entered the threshold of ordinary strong individuals with the potential to grow into high-level mobile warriors. Of course, above the A level, there are elite, S, SS, and legendary levels of classification. People with such talents are truly geniuses for the entire human race, representing the core essence of civilization. They will receive special attention and treatment from any major power. Qin Huang said indifferently, there's no need to worry too much. At our age, genetic talent is not immutable. As long as we can pass the final assessment, there will be opportunities. Wu Dai smiled bitterly. We know this, but to fully optimize our physique, apart from rigorous training, we also need the support of many precious resources. How could we afford that? They were just from moderately wealthy families. Although there was some spare money at home, it was simply impossible to support the cultivation of 2 advanced mobile warrior candidates. On the other hand, Liu Kaihui glanced at his patron. His lips moved slightly, but he didn't know how to broach the subject. Becoming an ordinary mobile warrior wasn't a problem with his abilities, but the chances of obtaining a spot for focused training were slim. Xiao Pingyue glanced at him and said, What's there to worry about? Not long ago, I acquired a set of heavenly origin body refinement true solutions, a rare high-grade method obtained for me with considerable effort by my family. I'll show you a few pieces later. As long as you work hard, there's no need to fear lacking opportunities. Leader, there's no one better than you. Liu Kaihui expressed his gratitude immensely. Currently, the practice methods for supernaturals are divided into 4 grades: Universe, Cosmos, Grand, and Desolate, with 12 levels. Since the collapse of the Starry Alliance, the strength of human civilization has significantly regressed, with many precious legacies lost. Numerous top-tier cultivation secrets have become extinct, with only a small amount of documentation remaining in the oldest major families or organizations. For Xiaoping Yue's family to obtain a desolate high-grade method is already a considerable cultivation resource. Even the powerful senior instructors at the military academy mostly practice methods of this caliber. As for ordinary students, they basically have only the most basic introductory methods available for learning. Time flew by, and when class ended at noon, Xiao Pingyue leisurely approached Qin Huang, who was about to leave, and smiled, "Interested in a spar? Network Mecha Combat, bronze level, with a simulation accuracy of 95%. Wu Day's expression changed slightly as he said, "Aren't you clearly bullying? Who doesn't know you've already passed the Junior Mobile Warrior assessment?" Wanting to vent your lackey's frustrations, but isn't this a bit? Qin Huang raised his hand slightly to stop his friend and turned to Xiao Pingyue, saying, "A spar is fine. How about adding some stakes? 500 star coins. And the loser pays the full equipment usage fee. 500 star coins equate to 3 months' living expenses for an ordinary student. Of course, this guy is rich and generous, so naturally, he wouldn't care about such a small amount of money." Xiao Pingyue smirked and nodded. "Deal. I hope your performance won't disappoint me too much." Within the military academy, there is a virtual network battle hall where various training exercises, mobile warrior level qualification assessments, and student sparring games can take place. However, the private training of students here is not free. It requires a substantial fee. In the spacious hall spanning hundreds of meters, rows of semicircular sharkskin sofas were arranged. Elegant in shape and smooth in lines, they were designed according to the most ergonomic standards. Suspended in front of each sofa was a half-meter diameter sky-blue, spherical body, quietly rotating with a faint glow. These were the high-grade military specification neural brain groups purchased by the school, with extremely powerful performance. When operating at full power, they can support virtual mecha combat training with a simulation accuracy of up to 95%. "How much money do you have in your accounts?" "Just lend it all to me for now, and I'll pay you back after the match," Qin Huang whispered to his two brothers. Wu Neng was somewhat worried, "Leader. Do you have a winning chance? This guy isn't easy to deal with. Losing money is one thing, but being humiliated by him isn't worth it." Wu Day smiled and said, "The leader never does anything without assurance. I trust him. We'll give you the money. Crush that guy thoroughly. Let's see how arrogant he'll be in front of us in the future." After payment, the two of them each selected a virtual combat brain, sat in the sofas below, and watched the large-scale stereoscopic projection screen outside, where they could clearly see the progress of the duel between the two sides, with every detail visible. There were many students around, including Wu Day's brothers and Liu Kaihui's entourage, as well as a group of onlookers who had come uninvited. "I heard that Xiaoping Yue is already an official mobile warrior. That Qin guy dares to confront him. Isn't he just asking for trouble? Who knows? In the past, even if he couldn't win, exchanging a few moves with him was still no problem. But now I hope he can hold on a bit longer. Losing wouldn't be too embarrassing then." The crowd discussed spiritedly, almost unanimously believing that Xiao Pingwei's victory was inevitable. The neural brain smoothly initiated, causing undulating ripples of light on the spherical surface, followed by a beam of bright blue light, half a meter thick, pouring down, enveloping Qin Huang's figure and isolating him from the outside world. Within the gentle blue beam, the familiar interior of a mecha control console appeared before Qin Huang's eyes. He found himself situated within a standard spec mecha cockpit, with various instrument panels and colorful signal lights clearly visible. A faint fragrance permeated the air, refreshing the mind. Everything was indistinguishable from the real interior environment of a mecha. Due to the extremely high simulation accuracy, the neural brain's central processor needed to access a massive amount of computational resources, resulting in a waiting time 10 seconds longer than usual. When the green signal light representing normalcy finally lit up, he meticulously inspected all the equipment, confirming their correctness before establishing a temporary account and logging in. The system randomly selected the combat location, the surface of the moon. The towering silver-gray mecha stood stably in the shadow of a lunar crater, surrounded by desolation, with a dark and frigid starry sky overhead. Leveraging the effects of the source energy control system, his mental perception swiftly spread to every corner of the mecha's body. Whatever command arose in his mind, the mecha responded promptly and accurately, as if he had truly merged with this powerful war machine. Consequently, an evident pressure appeared on the mental level, akin to carrying a heavy stone upon oneself. Indeed, it was quite uncomfortable when one's own strength fell short. Qin Huang sighed inwardly. The emergence of source energy-driven control technology undoubtedly marked a significant revolution in the field of mechas. The true integration of man and machine was no longer a theoretical concept. Its direct benefit was maximizing the combat effectiveness of mechas, making a considerable contribution to enhancing the military strength of human civilization. Of course, in this world, there exists no technology that is absolutely flawless. While advanced mechas utilizing source energy control systems boasted formidable firepower, the expenditure of physical and mental energy in controlling them was equally significant. The physical fitness requirements for mobile warriors were extremely high, and without corresponding strength, attempting to control them was futile. A soothing and melodious synthesized voice rang out. System self-check initiating body function data scan apologies. Due to your substandard source energy index and poor physical condition, to avoid accidents, it is recommended to select a lower simulation accuracy to prevent adverse consequences. Without hesitation, Qin Huang chose to decline. The voice continued to warn, with your current physical condition, you can only support up to 350 seconds. At that time, you will be forcibly terminated from the game. This was an inevitable outcome, much like fighter pilots in the era of Earth. Similarly, high-tier mechas were not something just anyone could play with. For those whose physical fitness did not meet the requirements, aspiring to become qualified mobile warriors was nothing short of a pipe dream. These bronze one-star mechas could only be operated smoothly by students with the strength of junior mobile warriors, that is, with a source energy index reaching a level of 12, but the duration would not be too long. According to military standards, it must be a mech pilot with a source energy index exceeding 20, equivalent to the level of a second-tier mobile warrior, to qualify for choosing bronze one-star mechas as their primary equipment. Junior mobile warriors could only select mass-produced standard mechas. Qin Huang took a deep breath and activated the main detection radar to scan the surrounding terrain, proceeding cautiously to control the mecha's movement. The requirements for player quality in mecha virtual combat games were not so stringent. Anyone could give it a try. However, the simulation accuracy could not be too high, generally staying below 50%. Yet, Xiaoping Yue's proposal of a 95% simulation accuracy was essentially not far from actual combat. Consequently, the restrictions on the physical fitness of mecha operators would become extremely stringent. Those who did not meet the standards would soon find themselves forcibly ejected from the neural brain's central processor due to excessive physical exertion. Therefore, Qin Huang currently has only slightly over 5 minutes of available time. If he cannot resolve the opponent before the end, he will have to be forcibly logged out by the neural brain's central processor, naturally resulting in being judged as the losing party. Xiaoping Wei's position is at the bottom of a meteorite crater, less than 30 kilometers in a straight line from Qin Huang. After confirming that all mecha systems were operating normally, he had already formulated several feasible combat plans in an extremely short time. The simplest approach would be to avoid direct combat and delay, as the physical fitness of that lad Qin Huang could not even be compared to his own. Just delay until his mental energy is depleted and he is forced to withdraw. Then he would consider himself victorious. However, this tactic was too low in challenge and might seem unsporting to outsiders. With his lofty and proud demeanor, he promptly vetoed it. He had specially arranged this challenge, not just to stroll around and strike a few poses. How could one demonstrate their strength and superiority without defeating their opponent fairly and squarely? With the plan set, he immediately maneuvered the mecha out of the meteorite crater, activated the main scanning radar, and began unabashedly searching for the opponent's trace, not in the least concerned about revealing his own position prematurely. To increase the difficulty, he had agreed with Qin Huang beforehand that neither of them could choose long-range attack weapons. Only close combat weapons would be allowed. So even if the opponent detected him first, he remained unconcerned. This was not a clever scheme. As a formal mobile warrior, he naturally held a natural advantage in physically demanding close combat, and Qin Huang, with unremarkable physical fitness, had no chance of gaining any advantage in this regard. Therefore, when this typically modest and reserved youth accepted his challenge, the outcome of victory or defeat was already without suspense in Xiaoping Yue's eyes. 90 seconds later, the two mechas simultaneously entered each other's visual range. Xiaoping Yue let out an excited roar and accelerated sharply towards Qin Huang. As his fiercely approaching opponent, Qin Huang did not feel much nervousness. He calmly controlled his mecha to meet the challenge. 237 seconds remaining. He glanced at the four-dimensional images floating before him, where a small crimson number in the upper left corner kept flickering. Time was a bit tight, but it should be enough to resolve the battle. He was not a rash and impulsive young man. Since he dared to easily accept Xiaoping Yue's challenge, he naturally had some confidence. As long as it didn't turn into a prolonged battle, there was still a chance to turn the tables. Both of them were using Bronze 1-star Void Huntsman Type 3 mechas, the most basic, non-standard mechas, with equivalent functional indicators. They both wielded medium particle vibration blades and lacked long-range weapons. Therefore, the confrontation between them was a contest of their respective close combat skills and brain reaction abilities. Qin Huang had often practiced on virtual combat platforms before, and his overall performance was satisfactory, so this was not unfamiliar to him. Although the simulation accuracy this time was close to actual combat, there was no essential difference in the operational process, except for his physical fitness being the only weak point. Kid, prepare to meet your end. Xiaoping Yue's mecha rushed forward, and with a slight flash of his left arm, a bright pale blue light stream surged out, then solidified under the constraint of a strong magnetic field, swiftly forming a giant light blade 10 meters long. It effortlessly left a series of after images in the air, lightning-like, attacking his left flank. In the nick of time, Qin Huang's mecha slightly tilted sideways, narrowly avoiding the opponent's attack by a hair's breadth. The particle vibration blade in his hand swiped lightly, skimming past the opponent's light blade, landing on the mecha's cyan energy shield, creating a shimmering and undulating bright ripple, which then promptly returned to normal. Xiaoping Yue was momentarily taken aback by the rapidity of Qin Huang's reflexes, which clearly exceeded his expectations. While it was true that the mecha's energy shield was not easily breached, the opponent's attacks would cause additional depletion of the mecha's energy reserves. In this round, he found himself at a disadvantage. Fortune favored this fellow. Xiaoping Yue snorted coldly in his mind, swiftly advancing and launching a relentless counterattack against Qin Huang with his fluctuating light blade, akin to a storm unleashed upon him. Layer upon layer of blade shadows almost enveloped Qin Huang entirely, leaving dazzling trails in the void. With Xiaoping Yue's strength, even a slight graze would result in considerable energy consumption. The ensuing onslaught would undoubtedly further suppress him until he was thoroughly defeated. The Alaya Vijnana silently operated, enhancing his mental perception in an instant. The opponent's attack speed seemed to decrease slightly, and the trajectory of the blade became more predictable, allowing him to more easily anticipate subsequent attack actions. Although the miraculous technique, whose grade was imperceptible due to its recent practice, did not significantly enhance his abilities, it was sufficient to handle the current situation. In the blink of an eye, the two sides engaged in a dozen or so rounds of exchange, with both offense and defense in play. The spectators outside were suddenly astonished. I never expected Qin Huang to still have an ace up his sleeve and endure, until now strange, I recall he was reprimanded by the instructor yesterday for failing to meet training standards. He should still be nursing his wounds. How is he still so vigorous? Indeed, Xiaoping Yue is already an official mobile warrior. It should be quite easy to deal with him. Perhaps he's deliberately playing possum. So, does that mean his strength is not much inferior to Xiaoping Yue's? It's truly unbelievable. The doubts of the crowd were not unfounded. With a simulation accuracy of 95%, it was essentially close to actual combat. Xiaoping Yue's proposal clearly indicated his intention to crush Qin Huang with his superior strength. As a junior mobile warrior, he could persist for at least 30 minutes. If no miracle occurred, Qin Huang's defeat was inevitable. Yet the course of events exceeded everyone's expectations. Wu Dai looked smugly at Liu Kaihui, saying nothing. The faces of the opposing team and Xiaoping Yue's followers were not pleasant, their eyes dark and silent. In the arena, Xiaoping Yue watched as his mecha's energy reserves continued to decline, finding it increasingly difficult to maintain a calm demeanor. Close-quarter mecha combat was essentially about protecting oneself while inflicting as much damage as possible on the opponent, employing all means to swiftly eliminate the adversary. Thus, both he and Qin Huang employed a similar strategy, to swiftly break through the opponent's energy shield with a barrage of attacks, then proceed to assault and dismantle the mecha's core, thereby securing victory in one fell swoop. Qin Huang's anticipation of attacks surpassed his by a hairline, consistently intercepting his fatal strikes at the critical moment, or at the very least, diminishing their force, thus thwarting his established objectives. Moreover, the lad's strikes were not frequent, and his speed was not comparable to his own, yet his luck was so extraordinary that he almost invariably managed to breach his energy shield, making it exceedingly difficult to evade. After several rounds of exchanges, The energy reserves of his mecha were nearing depletion, while the fellow clearly still had reserves to spare. Cursed be it! What on earth is happening? Xiao Pingyue, feeling utterly suppressed and helpless, cursed inwardly. He was a bona fide mobile warrior with a source energy index of 12, qualifying him as an outstanding student capable of piloting a bronze one-star mecha. With the newly acquired training techniques, there was no reason he should be outmatched by this subpar individual. Today's duel, aside from venting his followers' frustrations, was also fueled by past grievances between him and Qin Huang. During their initial training, Qin Huang's outstanding performance repeatedly overshadowed his own, earning the instructor's favor, which stoked his resentment. If possible, he wished to thoroughly crush this lad whom he had always despised, preferably ensuring he never rose again, sparing himself future competition for those limited spots in elite training. From his standpoint, the fewer future rivals, the better. However, it seemed his plans might be difficult to fulfill now. A dozen seconds later, amid the gasps of the onlookers, Xiao Pingyue's faltering energy shield, under Qin Huang's relentless assault, finally depleted completely, crumbling away into a shower of bright fragments dissipated into the void. In other words, his mecha was now defenseless, akin to a maiden stripped of her garments, vulnerable to the whims of the other. Damn it. Watching his dwindling energy reserves, Xiao Pingyue was utterly helpless, only able to watch as the opponent's blade pierced through the outer armor, shattering the transparent crystal metal walls of the core chamber. A second later, the system declared Qin Huang the victor. Is that even possible? The students wore expressions of incredulity. In their view, the gap in strength between the two was evident, and Xiao Pingwei's victory should have been a foregone conclusion. Unfortunately, the outcome left them utterly flabbergasted. Where had things gone wrong? Boss, you're amazing! Wu Dai rushed over to help the slightly pale Qin Huang up. After all, such a contest was quite taxing for him at present. Dare to go another round? Xiao Pingyue, exiting the system, gritted his teeth. I wasn't ready just now. Not in my best form, so this match doesn't count. Qin Huang shrugged indifferently. Sure, but I've expended quite a bit and need time to rest. Let's resume tomorrow. Although he emerged victorious from the recent battle, his source energy was depleted, making it unsuitable to continue fighting. No need. Xiao Pingyue tossed over a delicate red-sealed crystal vial. This is a bottle of Lanhua essence. Consider it my gift to you. Drink it up, and let's continue. Liu Kaihui winced slightly. This Lanhua essence was a premium biological restorative potion with the effect of rapidly replenishing energy. Valued at over 100 star coins per bottle, even the instructors hesitated to use it frequently. It was quite the investment for his boss to regain face. All right, I won't hold back then. But how about a wager of 1,000 star coins for this round? Qin Huang grinned. Deal! With no further ado, Qin Huang uncorked the vial, pouring the fragrant potion into his mouth, then settled down to recuperate. The secret technique quietly activated, and a faint warmth surged from his mental sea, flowing steadily along his meridians, swiftly restoring his vigor. The efficacy of this restorative potion was indeed remarkable. 10 minutes later, Qin Huang, once again vibrant and spirited, logged back into the system, ready to resume the duel.